Hello, everyone. My name is George Huang, different Huang, and I make music under the moniker Kiernan. And I'm currently based in Indiana in the Midwest. And today I'm deciding to run through or kind of display what I decided to do for the whole entire Four Producers One Sample Challenge and series that Andrew runs on his channel. So first, let's take a little bit of a look at the original samples. The original sample was Oblivion. It's a track, a full entire track by Andrew Huang. And let's just do a little bit of a listen through the whole thing just to see some of the details. Maybe you can pick out some of the stuff I decided to do in my own version. Immediately, tons of ear candy, a lot of really nice little details around. Ooh. Seven. Ooh. The cowbell's pretty cool. Ooh, I like the kind of ethereal bed that we're now in from all the rhythmic insanity that happened before. Super cyber, super digital. I like that it gets way more digital. Like the first part was the piano and stuff, but it gets more and more computerized. It's cool. Oh, that bass effect is so sick. Whoa. It's Laser City. Love the arpeggio. Wow. That's very, very cool. That's very, very cool. All right, so now we're going to do a little bit of hopping into Ableton and showing you what I decided to do to flip the whole entire sample on its head. So let's take a look. All right, so now that we're in Ableton, I kind of wanted to run through, first of all, what was my objective, kind of my direction for the whole entire track. And so notably, I think that the most apparent portion of this whole entire song is that it's not a typical genre that I actually do. I work in a lot more of the alternative side, so guitars, bass, drums, singing, stuff like that. And it was much more difficult doing that all through a sample in the spirit of a Four Producers One Sample Challenge. And so I decided to look through some other musical inspirations and stuff. And one that came up in particular, simply because he's quite popular at this time, is MF Doom, specifically with like Repstitch, Knishes, as well as Figaro. There's been like a resurgence in his music due to the online community. And I thought, what a great opportunity to try something new and break out of my creative comfortness in my own specific genre. And so that kind of highlights some of my main objectives with this song, which is making like a rap track, and then like drier drums, fun percussion, more quirky, kind of jabby lyrics here and there about some stuff. And I hope that, of course, the track is at least kind of fun and interesting. And so let's get into it. So the first part of the track starts with... And So it starts with this 8-bit kind of video game example of an intro, very like a boss fight after party by Virtual Riot, etc. And it's the best part of this intro is that I actually just completely made it up on the fly using this section of Andrew's drums within Oblivion. And so I love how like sporadic and kind of wild it is, and it gave me this perfect imagery of like kind of like a boss fight. And so that coupled with some fun little perks, which was a synth created completely through the synths within Oblivion, and some fun vocal performances. Together, you get this whole entire kind of video gamey sounding setting with a medieval theme. Yeah, and so that medieval theme actually is pretty interesting. Just kind of getting into the melodic content. I believe this song it's in G flat major, but is in the Locrian mode, which is very, very fun. I never get to work with Locrian anyways. So it's a lot of good tension. There's like a tritone, like a bunch of fun little clashing bits and stuff like that in order to get it all cohesive with that super medieval kind of haunting sound like a church organ. And I really, really, really love that part. And so now we finally jump into the meat of the song, the drum groove and the bass. So the drums, if I open them up right here, this was created, of course it's consolidated at this point, but originally I took a bunch of small snippets of Andrew's drum track from within his sample that he gave us, such as, you can see all these little cuts that I did and stuff right here. I wanted to preserve a lot of that, a lot of the drum sounds within Oblivion in my own track. However, putting it in like a more smooth of a feel, more flowy, more kind of movement within the sounds and stuff like that. So preserving kind of a soul in and reinterpolating that into a new context. And one of my favorite quotes is by the alchemist, who says, like, don't overcook it if no one wants to eat something that's overcooked. So I kept it really simple, bare bones production, just a little transient shaping, make it hit a little harder, and that's it. Pretty dusty as well. And that, coupled with this fun, sneaky little shaker, adds so much of the movement into the track that's really, really cool. So this shaker is the unsung hero, I believe, of this song. Yeah. All right. And so down here, I'm just going to kind of combine all this into one thing. Basically, all three of these tracks, all of these, are just fun little perks and stuff like that I had. I went through like a little bit of a session and just kind of cut through a bunch of the small things through the auxiliary percussion and stuff like that that's included. A bunch of that really juicy ear candy that Andrew graciously provided to us. And which ends up with this really cool little bed of vocal chops and interesting percussions and stuff like that sound pretty out of place originally, but help a lot with the shaping and the force of the track throughout its evolution. And in context, yep, and so not overdoing it a bunch, just by keeping it pretty simple and stuff like that. The last little bit of percussion that I want to talk about is definitely the hi-hats. So this appears later in the song as we approach like kind of the first climax, the first increase in energy. This is just like a syllable, I believe, that Andrew sang, or maybe like a symbol as well, but this is just like a freeze of something that I took from one of the tracks. And I thought that was pretty good at first, but it felt a little bit bland. It didn't feel as loose, because a lot of MF Doom tracks, at least from what I've been listening and stuff, and trying to pick out specific details. The hi-hat's it has a lot of higher harmonics because it's played on like a live cymbal and stuff like that. That gives it a lot more swing and a lot more feel, and that's really hard to emulate, especially when you don't have that sound to begin with or be given with. So I try to create something a little more like a kind of like a shaker at the same time, but also mixed with a cymbal. And I did that by, of course, taking this first syllable, but also adding in an F syllable that I just into the microphone, and then adding that into it. And that peck is what comes from the F syllable mixed with the cymbals. Gives it a nice bit of imperfection that adds a lot of groove to it as well. And then also, if you zooming in on it, all of these hi-hats are meticulously kind of placed in order to get them in the right spot. They're all a couple milliseconds off. This one's right on, this one's off, right off, and stuff like that in order to get the right groove. And so if you were to quantize it, which I did originally, it sounded horrible. It did not flow at all. And so this actually took some more effort to get it all flowing together. Ton of the fun parts of also creating this project was definitely the fills. All of these like individual fills are like a little bit different throughout the whole entire track and stuff, just to spice it up. But I love being able to just kind of splice together and Frankenstein drum fills from different sections of the song and stuff like that as well. One of the most notable, melodic portions of this whole entire song is the bass. This portion of the song is inspired by Figaro, which is a MF Doom track, which has a very similar kind of stampering, hammered, stomping feeling that kind of moves and progresses throughout the whole entire, all of the lyrics. And I wanted to emulate that. Of course, this time it is in Locrian, so it's a very interesting kind of melodic content. But I really tried to emulate that kind of movement and interaction with the percussion in that specific way. There's 3 layers to this track. The first one is the bass that is directly sampled from the Oblivion. Yep. And so we have the original bass there, but I didn't feel that the attack was hard enough. It didn't feel as authoritative that I wanted it to be, and so I added in this piano. Which is good, but I felt that they were a little bit they didn't gel as well. You could hear very clearly the piano kind of hammering its way through, and then also the bass doing its own thing as well. So I added this final little, almost video gamey sounding Casio M1 like kind of vibe to it in order to glue everything together to get that final huge, intimidating bass sound. It's the best way to describe it, intimidating. Other than that, I have this fun little synth part right here, which is also constructed from another piano. And this is layered with this fun little vocal chop that I did from the song as well, where together they kind of create this, just a little bit of relaxed tension in the middle of the song, in the middle of the song, which to give kind of the listeners' ears a break as well, just kind of recollect and stuff like that. This, we kind of ended with a bang, is the main inspiration kind of for the whole entire track. I heard this sample originally, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to create this whole entire rap song and such. And this sample, it's pretty much ripped directly from the track, but I thought it brought so much flow and energy and a fun bit of melodica content all at the same time. And I really, really, really wanted to preserve it within the track because it gave me the kind of Kenny Beats spell, kind of addictive feel of the drum groove that I really wanted to maintain. And so just adding that into the track, of course, I had to do some harmonic filtering in order to get it to the point that some of the notes didn't interfere with the melodic content. But overall, adds so much to that nice groove and nice energy. So yeah. All right, and so that's basically like an entire run through of the whole track that I've been working a couple weeks on at this point. First of all, I wanted to say to you, of course, Andrew, a big thank you for proposing this challenge. Of course, I'm very, very honored and very grateful to be here. If I do get selected for the 4 Producers 1 Sample amazing series on YouTube, and as well as providing this amazing track, and all the other hardworking artists and stuff like that who are probably doing in a very similar position to me as well. You guys are all really, really cool. I love making music. It's pretty much a huge passion and hobby of mine, and thank you guys so much for watching my little breakdown. And if you guys want to listen to music, it's Kironen, Kirinan, on all platforms. Peace.